The morning sun filtered through the lace curtains of my little cottage in Asheville, North Carolina, casting delicate patterns on the wooden floor. I had just finished my first cup of coffee and was halfway through the crossword puzzle in the local newspaper when the phone rang. My heart sank before I even picked up the receiver. I'd always believed that some calls just felt heavy. This one did. It was a state trooper calling from the highway patrol. My daughter, Caroline, and her husband, Michael, had been in a terrible accident. There were no survivors. My knees gave out before I even understood the full weight of his words. The receiver clattered against the floor as I collapsed into the chair, sobbing into the palms of my hands. My mind went to their only child, my grandson, Lucas. He had just turned 13 the week before. Within hours, I was on a flight to Austin, Texas, where they had lived. My hands trembled the entire journey, clutching the armrest, clutching my heart. The moment I saw Lucas sitting in the child services office, his blue eyes empty, face pale, and lips trembling, I knew my role had shifted forever. I wasn't just a grandmother anymore. I was now his guardian, his safe place, and maybe, just maybe, his path back to life. Lucas didn't speak much during those first days. I brought him back with me to Asheville. The house, once filled with my quiet routines and the occasional garden visitor, now echoed with a silence that felt heavy and unfamiliar. He barely touched his food, and his eyes stayed distant. At night, I heard him cry softly. I never interrupted, just sat outside his door until he fell asleep, letting him know he wasn't alone. I decided not to push him into anything. We both needed time. But as days turned into weeks, I began planting small seeds, literally and metaphorically. Lucas had always enjoyed visiting the garden with Caroline. So one morning, I invited him to help me with the fall planting. He hesitated at first but followed me out, hands buried in his sweatshirt pocket. We planted mums and ornamental cabbages. I showed him how to trim back the rose bushes for winter. He didn't speak much, but he listened. And every once in a while, I caught him watching a ladybug climb a stem or tracing the grooves of a leaf with his finger. Our breakthrough came unexpectedly. One evening, I was looking through old photo albums, and I left one on the coffee table. Lucas picked it up the next morning and started flipping through the pages. I watched from the kitchen as his eyes lit up at a picture of his parents holding him at a beach when he was a toddler. For the first time in weeks, I saw the corners of his mouth twitch, almost a smile. From then on, every evening became photo night. He'd ask questions, sometimes cry, sometimes laugh. I told him stories of Caroline as a little girl, her fear of thunderstorms, her obsession with dinosaurs, her first job scooping ice cream. Slowly, Lucas started sharing too. He told me about how his dad taught him to ride a bike and how his mom used to sing him to sleep. I knew healing wouldn't be a straight line, and it wasn't. Some days were hard. He'd snap at me or retreat into silence. But I kept showing up. I kept making his favorite banana pancakes, kept asking him to join me for walks, kept reminding him, with words and actions, that love didn't disappear with death. Around springtime, Lucas came home from school with a flyer in his backpack. The middle school was hosting a talent show. He used to play the guitar, and I gently encouraged him to sign up. At first, he refused. Said he hadn't played in months and wouldn't remember anything. But a week later, I found him in the garage with his dad's old guitar, strumming quietly. I didn't say a word, just sat nearby, weeding a flower bed and listening. He practiced every evening after that. I could hear the music flow more confidently each time. He chose to play Here Comes the Sun, a song Caroline loved. On the night of the show, I sat in the front row, clutching a tissue, heart pounding. When Lucas walked on stage, there was a hush. Then he played. His fingers trembled, but his voice was clear and steady. By the end, the audience was on their feet. Afterward, he ran into my arms, eyes glistening. "Did Mom hear me?" he asked. I hugged him tighter. "She heard every note, sweetheart. Every single note." From that point on, things shifted. Lucas joined the school's music club. He made new friends. He started smiling more, asking to help cook dinner, even playing pranks on me now and then, just like his mom used to do. The house started feeling like a home again. It wasn't the same. It never would be. But it was filled with warmth, laughter, and love. I often thought about how different things could have been. About how easily grief can turn into a shadow that never leaves. But I refused to let that shadow swallow Lucas. I fought every day to remind him that life, even after loss, is worth living. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Lucas turned to me and said, "Grandma, I didn't think I'd ever feel okay again. But now I feel alive. Thanks to you." Tears rolled down my cheeks, but I smiled. "No, Lucas. Thanks to us. We did this together." And as the sky turned a soft lavender hue, I knew that even though pain never truly leaves, neither does love. And love, if we let it, can be enough to carry us through anything.